Hello everyone, and welcome to our makeup session for service plans. We had some technical difficulties a couple weeks ago when we tried to film our fourth in the series of our first series. I'm Kim Santamongo from Advanced Health Institute, and we are getting really great feedback from everybody on these little short videos, so we hope that they are helpful. I'm from Advanced Health Institute, and one of the things that we do is we work with skilled nursing facilities and a lot of the home care and assisted living facilities here in Minnesota. And we see a lot of different correction orders, and we try to come up with things that we think would be helpful in a short little session like this. So in this series, if you remember, if you've been watching, we first talked about tuberculosis and the testing and the citations that are being issued for those. We talked about incident reports, transitioned that into a talk on vulnerable adults, and now finally we are talking about service plans. And we culminated that with a 1-hour webinar. So we hope that you'll continue to find these helpful. We welcome your feedback. You can either send feedback into our comments or to solutions@ahinstitute.com. Again, that's solutions@ahinstitute.com. We love to answer questions. We do that quite frequently for our customers and our clients, and also for if you just have a one-off question you need to have somebody weigh in on, we're happy to do that as well. So talking today about service plans, there are 8 required elements to service plans, and we see this being cited a lot. There are some things that stand out, so we're going to talk about those, primarily contingency plan, and then when are you not going to summon 911 or emergency services in whatever situation. So those are the 2 we're going to talk about. They come up in the second half. So we're going to talk first of all about the first 4 required elements of your service plan. Of course, you need to describe what service is going to be performed, and the fee that's associated with that, as well as the frequency of how often is that going to be the service going to be provided. And of course, all your service plans come after you've done your comprehensive nursing assessment and all your other assessments, medication, vulnerability, anything else that applies. Anytime that you have a new admission or you have a change in condition, maybe a readmission from a hospitalization after an illness or surgery, you want to go through that whole process of assessment so that you can make sure that your service plan and plan of care are accurate. So the second thing we're going to make sure that we do is identify the staff or the categories of staff who are going to be providing these services. Is it going to be licensed nursing, or is it going to be the RN only, or is it going to be your unlicensed personnel? A lot of us are using the unlicensed personnel for our delegated tasks, and that is perfectly appropriate under the home care regulations. I'm going to caveat that, as long as they're properly trained and have done a return demonstration to prove their competency with the RN. This third thing we're going to look at is make sure that you put the schedule and methods of how you're going to be supervising the staff. So typically this is the RN or the licensed nurses, and you are going to, per the regulations, you're going to observe a delegated task after 30 days after hire and periodically. We are being told that by the state surveyors that they are looking for that periodically to be at least annually that you are watching a delegated task. That might be a great place to great thing to roll into your annual performance evaluations as well. So you want to make sure that the language on your service plans is specifically stating that you will be monitoring staff 30 days after hire and periodically. Finally, the frequency of sessions of the supervision of the clients. How often are you going to be reassessing the clients? And so you want to make sure that you have very specific language here. We've seen this a lot. You want to make sure, per the regulations, that you are assessing the client upon admission, which is within 5 days, at 14 days, every 90 days, and with change of condition. And you actually want your language to be very similar to that, if not exact. We send this out to a lot of our clients and say, when we're working with them, make sure your service plan says initial assessment within 5 days, 14-day reassessment, every 90 days thereafter, and with change of condition. So that's what needs to be on the first half of your required elements on your service plan. The last 4 elements we're going to talk about are listed under contingency plan. So you want to make sure that you have listed in your contingency plan what is your plan if there's a snowstorm, a power outage, other natural disaster, fire. What are your contingencies? And there's been a lot of discussion with surveyors and facilities and care providers, leading age, advocate groups. Really, the surveyors seem to be looking for you can keep it simple as long as, you could say essential tasks versus non-essential tasks. That our assisted living is a part of a campus where we have 24/7 RN nursing over in the nursing home. So we're always going to have a nurse on hand if necessary. You can say for essential tasks, we will call on our, all hands on deck is for the essential task, which could be medications, eating, medications, food, lodging, or shelter, and toileting. Those might be considered your essential tasks. So how are you going to perform those essential tasks if something comes up where you may not be able to with your normal staff? The second piece of that is your non-essential tasks. So things like if there's a snowstorm and it's all hands on deck, but some of your staff haven't made it in, maybe the first thing that you kind of put aside is a shower. Maybe we don't perform all the showers today, but we'll make plans with the client and or the family to catch that up later, or maybe the family wants to come in and help, or maybe we can add that on, or they say don't worry about it, we'll catch it on Thursday when the second shower is. You want to make sure that you have some information on the client's advocate or the representative. Who is this person that you should contact in the case of an emergency? And if there's an emergency where you're sending them to the hospital, who is the person who is authorized to sign in an emergency for the client? And the other thing you want to make sure is that you put the information and contact information of you on that service plan, so that if something comes up and the client and or their family needs to call you and cancel services or ask a question when they're out on pass, what information is there so that they can easily get a hold of you and get their questions answered. And we also recommend that instead of giving the campus number or the main number, that you put that to the phone that's always answered. So whether that's the director of nursing's phone or whether that is a phone that the unlicensed personnel is carrying around for them, the house phone, just make sure that it is clearly identified there and clients and or their families can get a hold of you if necessary. Finally, we're going to talk about emergency plans and when are you not going to summon 911 in an emergency. So for instance, you may have a policy that says, if somebody's a do not resuscitate, we don't call 911 if they code. It's important, super important, to make sure that you talk to the clients as well when you're doing this particular component, because you want to make sure that we're including their wishes and desires as well. For instance, somebody may say, if I've fallen before and it takes, 2 people to get me up, I know you only have 1 person on staff. If I fall during the night, I don't want you to call 911 because 1 person can't get me off the floor. I want you to call my family instead, and they'll come in and help me. So make sure that you talk to your clients and make sure that their wishes are being followed. Of course, if we document them, then we can follow them. If we don't document them, we don't know. And of course, emergencies happen very quickly, and we need to access that information. So as long as it's on your service plan, then everybody should be able to access that. So that is going to wrap up our conversation for today. Again, we're talking about service plans and the 8 required elements. And then the contingency plan is something that we're seeing cited a lot, so make sure you have that taken care of. And also 911 and emergency. When are you not going to summon 911? So again, this is Kim Santamongo from Advanced Health Institute, and we love doing these little topics. We hope that you found them helpful as well. We welcome you to send us some feedback, either in the Facebook comment section, and we can get back to you, or you can, again, send it to solutions@ahinstitute.com. And that comes directly to me. My direct phone number is 952-913-6214. If you prefer to call, and don't mind you doing that. And, call if you have a question, but also call it or email us if you think you might want us to come out and talk to you about either a mock survey to make sure that you and your staff are prepared for your initial MDH survey under the home care regs. Or if you've had survey come in and you would like us to come in and help you just make sure the action plan is set, that the timelines are going to be met. If you have questions about what tools to use, we do that a lot for our clients, and that's just one of the things that is our core in our consulting piece. So if you have any questions or you'd like to talk to us about some of the services that we offer, please give us a call or email, again, to solutions@ahinstitute.com. All right, that concludes our session for today. Everybody have a great day. Bye-bye.